What's going on, guys? So today we're going to do something a little risky. We're going to talk about my top 10 dream guns, but I'm doing it without any kind of script or anything. So I have a list of 10 or so here, and we're just going to go through it. So this is not in any particular order, but I might kind of note which ones are maybe higher up on the list. I'll let you know. So first and foremost, we're going to talk about the CZ Czechmate Parrot 9mm. Now this is a competition-based 9mm, obviously made by CZ, and you know, there's just something about this pistol. I think it's the colors mostly. I don't know. I'm a sucker for bright colors, I guess. But the pink little charging handle, super sick looking. The fact that you can mount a red dot, also pretty nice. You know, I guess if you needed to, you can probably make it into a zombie apocalypse gun, and you'll look like a complete Chad while you're doing it. So that's really the only reason I like it. I mean, I'm sure it performs really well considering it's a CZ and it's competition based. And you know, the CZ Shadow 2 kind of dominates the competitive market. So yeah, for that reason, the CZ Czechmate Parrot 9mm is going to come first on my list of top 10 dream guns. Well, like I said, we're not going in any particular order, so I just wanted to make it very clear that this next one is actually pretty high up on the list. Might even be number one. But we're talking about the PP19 Bison. Now, there's a local company around me, and they're trying to make a US made Bison chambered in 9mm. Now, if I had a choice, that's the specific one that I would get, because finding 9x18 Makarov doesn't sound like an enjoyable experience. So, the Chitin Defense, that's the company that makes it, or is trying to make it at least, and I probably butchered the name, so excuse me for that, but they were trying to make a 9mm Bison, and this bitch holds like 50 rounds in the magazine. The magazine doubles as your grip, and that is really the sole purpose. It's also an AK platform, and I kind of have a growing soft spot for AKs, and I don't have any, and I kind of want one, so what better one to get than a 9mm Bison, so it's cheap to shoot, but also just like really unique. And I'm kind of a sucker for unique stuff. I mean, I spent a bunch of money customizing my shotgun to make it look like a gun from Borderlands 2, because I know no one else had one that would look exactly like mine. So I mean, what can I say? The Bison and 9mm, no one's gonna have it except for me. In theory, I mean obviously not, but for the most part, and should be very reliable from what I've seen on this guy's Instagram. So I'm very excited to see that one come to market, and I will definitely try to pick it up if I can. So next on my list, the Chitin Defense Bison in 9mm. So this next one has been on my radar for a very long time, and I mean, odds are I'm not going to buy this gun anytime soon because it's kind of expensive. Not to say that the other ones I've already talked about and the ones I'm going to talk about later on aren't also expensive, but this one is kind of more in the realm of reality for me, and even still I'm probably not going to get it. But the third one on my list is going to be the Q Honey Badger chambered in 300 Blackout. Excuse me, more specifically, the Q Honey Badger SD chambered in 300 Blackout. So the SD model has the suppressor more or less integrated, and very, very slick setup. Now there's some pros and cons to it. Of course, 300 Blackout is a very expensive cartridge, but the benefit to that is that it is one of the best calibers to suppress. The SD Honey Badger also has the suppressor go inside of the handguard, which kind of prevents you from mounting some accessories further up on the handguard. But regardless, it looks super sick. It sounds very quiet, which in itself is super sick, and I've just always wanted one ever since I saw it. And you know, I don't remember exactly where I saw it. I swear the first time I saw it was in Modern Warfare 2, but apparently it's not in that game or something, so could have been Call of Duty Ghosts. Either way, I really want it. That's going to be number 3 on my list of dream guns. Have you ever been in the situation where you needed to punch out to about 1,000 yards, you wanted a semi-automatic rifle and an AR platform, chambered in 300 Win Mag, and you wondered, what am I going to do to solve this problem? Well, you can always buy the Falkor Petra, again, chambered in 300 Win Mag. And basically, I already explained why I want it. It's an AR-10, I guess you can say. Not really, but kind of. It's an AR platform chambered in 300 Winchester Magnum. And this thing is deadly accurate, looks badass, very capable for a hunting rifle, but also for a long range, sniper type rifle. And this thing is super sick. Now, the thing about it is still pretty expensive. So once again, I'm probably not going to buy it anytime. But that's not the point of the list. The point of the list is dream guns. And this is one of them. Ever since I saw it, I've always wanted this guy. Practically speaking, let's be real, it's not the most practical gun in the world. And I probably won't shoot it very often. But regardless, I still want one because this is America and, first world problems. So anyways, that's why the Falkor Petra is going to be number 4 on my list. I promise you, if you have no idea what the GM6 Lynx is, then you have never seen any rifle like this one before. The GM6 Lynx is a 50 BMG with a barrel that moves and it stores inside of the receiver. It's just such a weird gun. But this thing is a tank. It looks badass. And again, it is chambered in 50 BMG, so it has anti-material properties. You can load it with armor penetrating rounds or incendiary rounds, and it's even legal in Canada as far as I know. I mean, that might be changing soon because it is Canada we're talking about after all. But this thing just looks badass. Relatively portable as well, especially compared to something like the Barrett type 50 BMGs. Mostly because the GM6 Lynx is a bullpup design, meaning that the magazine sits behind the trigger of the gun. So it's the magazine and kind of the action altogether. All the heavy bits, they all sit behind the trigger, which means you can get a pretty long barrel inside of a pretty short package. So, I mean, if you don't know what a bullpup is, you need to kind of get out from the rock that you're underneath or something. But just imagine the bullpup designed in a 50 BMG. It's just something crazy. You don't really see this a lot. First time I saw it was in COD Ghost, which we can all kind of agree wasn't the best game, but I actually didn't hate it. Regardless, this was one of the most fun guns to use in that game, and I really enjoyed it. So, yep, I think it would be really cool to have one of these IRL. This thing's like, I think, $15,000. And maybe when I win the lottery. But yeah, so that is why the GM6 Lynx is number 5 on my list of top 10 dream guns. I admit, I am not a 1911 guy at all. Never really have been. I'm a big fan of John Moses Browning and all of his designs and everything for the most part. It's just the 1911 is such an overrated and way overly hyped up gun that I just kind of don't even want anything to do with it unless it's an original World War I or World War II era handgun that was used in the military, like a government-stamped, government-issued 1911. That would be pretty cool to have, but generally speaking, 1911s as a whole, just not really interested in them. Same with 2011s, it's the same concept. That being said, there was this one time when I was scrolling through YouTube and I came across a video that was uploaded by The Honest Outlaw, who is one of my favorite YouTube channels. If you're not subscribed or watching Honest Outlaw at all, you should definitely go check him out. But he uploaded a video on the STI Staccato 9mm. Now, I probably pronounced staccato wrong, but whatever. And for whatever reason, that gun just looks really cool. It is a 2011 chambered 9mm, holds I think 15 rounds. I'm sure you can get some higher capacity magazines than that. I didn't do my research before I made this video, to be honest. So a lot of the stuff I'm saying is probably coming out really dumb. But this gun looks really cool. It has relatively high capacity. It's not really a subcompact, but it's a compact size, so you can definitely carry it if you wanted to. You can mount a flashlight to it or a red dot sight. And as far as 1911s go, this is just one of the few that have actually piqued my interest. 2011s rather, excuse me. And yeah, that's really the only reason I want it, is because after watching The Honest Outlaw, this thing looks like a very reliable and fun gun to shoot. Not to mention that because it is a 1911, the trigger is going to be really nice on it, and it's just going to work well and be very accurate. So that is why the STI Staccato chambered in 9mm is, what is this? The 6th gun on my top 10 list of dream guns. Alright, I get it, fine. I'm trying my hardest not to say super sick again. I mean, I understand I have a list, but probably sounds dumb. I've said it like 5 or 6 times already. I'm working on it, okay? Get off my back. Anyways, for this next entry, I kind of fought with myself long and hard about what kind of shotgun I wanted to include on this list, because there's plenty of really nice options out there that I could have included. And of course, the one that most people would think of right away when it comes to the dream shotgun would be the Benelli M4. And no doubt that is one of the best shotguns you could possibly buy. Very iconic. It was in John Wick. The military uses it, I think the Marines specifically. And there's just no denying the fact that that gun is a very, very good gun. And the reliability is there, and reliability is important. But at the end of the day, I decided on something else. I wanted something that had a detachable magazine that looked really cool. Not to say that the Benelli doesn't, but something else that looked really cool. And I think I decided that my dream shotgun would be the Molot Vepr 12 chambered in 12 gauge. So this guy, you can get 5 round or 5 shell magazines, whatever you want to say. 8, 10, I think 12, and even a 25 shell detachable drum magazine for the shotgun. Now that's an entire box of ammo in your magazine for a shotgun. Talk about unconditional, unwavering firepower. That is a true showstopper. And the thing with the Vepr is I did my research, and the two kind of AK type 12 gauge shotguns out there would be the Vepr and the Sega, or Saiga, however you want to pronounce it. I usually pronounce it Sega. From what my research has told me, the Vepr 12 is easier to load magazines into, and also has a, what is it, self-adjusting gas block, I don't know, something like that, a self-adjusting gas system. It's just more reliable. You can run lesser powered ammunition through it, and it will feed more reliably than the Sega will. And the same will apply, of course, to the higher powered loads like double-aught buckshot or slugs and whatnot. And reliability is very important to me, and a 12 gauge AK sounds dope as hell, so that is why the Molot Vepr 12 chambered in 12 gauge is going to be the 7th gun on my list of top 10 dream guns. Wow, sounded like I had a brain aneurysm there at the end there. But next up on the list, we're talking about a true piece of history. The Rhodesian FN FAL chambered in 308, and I mean the real deal, full auto FAL, baby poop camo and all. Because when you look back at history, there's few things more interesting, to me at least, than the Rhodesian Bush War. Now, something that might beat it would be like the Great Depression and Bonnie and Clyde, or the Wild West has always interested me, or Teddy Roosevelt. But international history, the Rhodesian Bush War is probably number 1 on the list of most interesting time eras or events in history. Really, it's a tragedy if you think about it as well. Not trying to get too much into that, of course. I'm just talking about the gun, but it's a very iconic gun, very unique, and it's just the camouflage, you know, it gets me. It looks terrible, and I love it. Also, the fact that there's a big gaping hole in the receiver is pretty cool. Again, another kind of tidbit of history. The South African military, they actually more or less donated a bunch of these FALs that were produced in South Africa to Rhodesia, but they didn't want any proof that it came from South Africa because of the state of the world at the time, and so they drilled out the maker's marks on these South African FALs so that there was no evidence that they were produced in South Africa. Now, of course, if you look at them, there's still parts of the South African crest or whatnot still visible on the receiver of these guns. So you can still tell exactly where they came from, but regardless, that paired with the fact that, you know, it's a full auto 308 and it's an FAL, which is, what is it called, the right arm of the free world or something like that. Very, very reliable, iconic gun and a very formidable caliber. And I'm talking full auto, so that's like really cool, just saying. So that is why the Rhodesian FN FAL chambered in 308 in full auto with baby poop camo is going to be the next one on my list. Talking about history and machine guns and iconicness, next on the list is going to be the full auto 9mm Uzi. Now, from everything from video games to rooftop Koreans to the Israeli military, the Uzi has been around for a very long time, and it's just one of those submachine guns that when you look at it, you know exactly what it is. And is there a reason why I would rather have an Uzi over an MP5? Not really. It's just I kind of like the way the Uzi looks more, and it's just, to me, more iconic, which I know that probably doesn't make much sense because the MP5 is one of the most iconic guns ever. I mean, it's in Die Hard and, of course, tons of video games. The MP5 is just a very iconic, very, I guess you can say, legendary and reliable gun, even more so than the Uzi, but I've just always really enjoyed the way that the Uzi looks. It's one of my favorite guns to use in Modern Warfare, and I think it'd be really cool to have the real deal. So, really, that's it. That's why the Uzi is next up on my list. So I talked about a 9mm AK platform. I talked about a 12-gauge AK platform. So I would be a fool if I didn't talk about a 7.62x39 AK platform, which is the main and most common chambering for an AK. And if I could choose any one to have, and trust me, there's plenty to choose from that are actually appealing to me, the number one for me would be the Meridian Defense Pestilence, which is part of their, what is this? Four Horsemen? Yeah, the Four Horsemen series. They're a very cool looking gun. They have it distressed. They have the little dong or dongle for the forend, but they also have the pick rail up front so you can mount a red dot sight to it if you don't want to run iron sights, which is a nice feature because preferably I'd rather not run just iron sights on my AK. I think I'd rather have a red dot sight. But they also spray paint numbers on the stock, and that's kind of cool. Knowing me, I'd probably get something dumb like 69 or 77 because, you know, 7's my lucky number from what I can tell at least. Probably not that lucky, but whatever. So this gun is pretty customizable in that fact. Not only that, but it's of course an AK, so you can expect pretty decent reliability, especially from one of the best AK manufacturers in America. So the Meridian Defense Pestilence AK, chambered in 7.62x39, is going to be the next one. And I think this is number 10 actually on my list. Now I know that was number 10, but you can't have a top 10 list without any kind of honorable mention. So I'm going to keep mine short and sweet. Literally any machine pistol. That's going to be my honorable mention. Now, preferably out of all of those, we'd have like the Glock 18, because I'm pretty sure it just takes your standard 9mm Glock mags, which are super easy to come by. You can get 10 round magazines, 15 round magazines, 17 round magazines, 33 round magazines, 155 round magazines. I think I've seen even 200 round magazines, so that all makes a very nice package. But another alternative would be like the Beretta 93R. That one I'm pretty sure is a burst fire pistol, which, I mean, that in itself is pretty cool, but I think I would prefer fully automatic. But regardless, any one of those would work fine for me, because just I've always been interested, I guess you could say, in those machine pistols. Even though I know they're not practical, there's no real benefit. In fact, there's one, I forgot what it is, but there's one that was even made in Mexico that's a machine pistol that's chambered in .22 long rifle. That just sounds fun as hell. And let's be real, the magazine's going to be gone in like 0.2 seconds, but talk about giggle factor, there's nothing better than that. So, look at this clip, 5th place. Why am I even uploading this one? I don't know. But, yeah, anyway, so that's my honorable mention. So, at this point, that's pretty much it for the video. So, I'd like to thank you all for watching. Feel free to like, comment, subscribe, share. I have my Patreon account linked in the bio. Feel free to go down there and check that out. If you donate $5 or more, I'm actually sending out stickers to all of my Patreons who do that. So, yeah, keep that in mind. So, yeah, I'd like to thank you all for watching, and I'll go ahead and see you all later. What does horny Russian say on vacation in Mexico? Mas vagina.